if you're reading a book like this and a white student says, well, I feel guilty about this, that is a learning opportunity to have a conversation and to really dig deep and learn a little bit more. Hi, everyone. This is Raquel.
Hi, and this is Jennifer.
Welcome to Madness Cafe.
This is a feminist podcast where we talk about women's issues, politics, and health and wellness.
And where those issues intersect. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Madness Cafe. Today is the last installment of our 2025 banned book series. Wah, wah. But do not fret, people, because we're gonna continue into 2026. So don't worry about that. But
this, we read them all, Raquel.
Yeah, baby. Good on us.
I never doubted us. I knew we would read them all.
Yeah. First,
although I did try to bail. I
did. Okay, let's announce what today's book is. Today's book is Dear Martin by Nic Stone, and this is actually her debut novel, which I think is amazing. Although she had been, from stuff that I read, she had been writing for a while before that. So, and again, I did this one on audiobook, so I don't have anything to hold up, but pretend I'm holding up the book right here.
I love that you're delving into the audiobook world.
Yeah, I'm kind of digging it. I'm pretty good at imagining the voices and the emotions and all the stuff, but hearing a very good voice actor emote, it's like you just fall right into it. It's like you become part of the book. It's pretty amazing. This book, Dear Martin, is Nic Stone's first published book. It was published in 2017. This book has won a bunch of awards, a whole bunch of awards, as it should. Let's see, it was a 2018 finalist for the William C. Morris Debut Young Adult Award, the 2018 American Library Association's Top 10 Amazing Audiobooks for Young Adults, 2018 American Library Association's Top 10 Quick Picks for Reluctant Young Adult Readers, and then a whole bunch of other accolades and goodness. But going back to what we were saying before and talking about how, we've read these books, and we'll get into this at another point in this episode, but what I didn't expect with reading all these books is the effect that these books would have. Not just each individual book, like, oh my God, this book just spoke to my heart, or, whatever, oh, this book brought me to tears, or, all the things that we've said, or, oh, this book sucked and I didn't like it. But the long-term effects that these books overall have had on us, which I think is really, really important. And we'll dive into that because I think that's something important to talk about too. So
what do you want to talk about first? Do you want to talk about the book itself or the banned book project?
Yeah, let's talk about the book first.
Okay.
It does deserve its own amount of time
to
talk about it. Basically, Dear Martin, just to give readers the backstory, is a story told from the point of view of the main character, Justice, who is a black high school senior, a black boy, and he goes by Just, as in short for Justice. And in the very beginning of the book, he's trying to help his ex-girlfriend because basically to stop her from driving home drunk, and he's trying to help her. Cop comes up, immediately assumes, oh, here's this black kid, he must be doing something wrong, and literally, so racial profiling right off the bat, assuming all kinds of horrible things. Justice is trying to explain that cop doesn't even give him a chance to explain anything, immediately puts him into cuffs and puts him in the backseat of the squad car. From that instance, the book goes through Justice, basically the reverberating effects of that, and him processing it, and then as a result of that, seeing things in his life differently,
Mm-hmm.
but then also as a sort of a journaling exercise, writing to Martin Luther King Jr., which, yes, he knows Martin Luther King Jr. died decades before, but like as an exercise, writing to Martin Luther King Jr. from the perspective of trying to use the lessons from Martin Luther King Jr.'s work and his life and trying to apply those to just his own life and what he can learn from that.
Mm-hmm.
So, which I think was that was a really creative and very interesting and powerful tool, I thought, because you really get a view into just his mind and into his heart and his actual struggling with what's going on
Mm-hmm.
and how the world sees him and how the world reacts to him in ways that are very different and not in alignment at all in many ways to who he really is and
Mm.
him trying to make sense of that. So I thought that was really good.
Yeah, I see him struggling with the whole idea of I was told go to school, study hard, be a
Hmm.
good kid, you can get out of the neighborhood, you can advance.
Hmm.
And at one point in the book, he talks about those above him trying to push him down and those below him trying to pull him down.
Yep. Yep.
And I think that's very real. That's a very
Hmm.
real take. Why, Raquel, was this book banned?
Okay. One of the official reasons given is that because there was swearing in the book. That's bullshit. We all
I
know
was
it's
gonna
because of
swear you
racism.
beat me to it.
Sorry, I just rolled right off my tongue. One of the places that the book was banned was a county here in Georgia, Columbia County, which I don't even know where the fuck that is. I mean, there's a gajillion counties in Georgia, and I tend to stick right here in Metro Atlanta and as centered to Metro Atlanta as I can get. My thought is that maybe it's in South Georgia somewhere, but I don't know. I have no idea. All I know is it's far from where I live. I want to read this blurb from, oh, I forget which website I got this from, but it's talking about when the book was banned in Columbia County in this particular school, and it also includes the author's response. So yeah, I
Ooh,
just want to read this because
some
I thought,
tea.
yeah, so I thought this is really good. In 2019, the Columbia County School District in Georgia banned Dear Martin from schools and bookstores. This and bookstores. My God.
Wow. Wow. You can't even buy it.
A school district
Mm-hmm.
banning shit from anyway, that's not part of the quote. That's me reacting. Anyway, the superintendent of the Columbia County School District stated that the reason Dear Martin was banned is that it contained expletives. However, based on the fact that several other books with expletives were allowed, several residents of Columbia County suspect that the book was banned because it dealt with race. Nic Stone responded in an interview with The Root that her guess for why the book was banned was because of the book's topic. Quote, my assumption is that the displeasure is with the overall topic of the book. I think it's just a discomfort about racism. Stone concludes the interview with a call to action. We just got to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Nothing changes if there is no discomfort, especially members of the majority. White people got to get okay with not being comfortable all the time. Black people, we've been uncomfortable our whole life. Kids need to know that's an okay feeling and that talking about things makes the world better.
Mm.
Amen, Nic Stone. That is literally what we have been saying in one way or another this entire time.
Got to have the conversations, and that's what we've
Hmm.
been doing.
And being uncomfortable will not kill you.
I did find the book uncomfortable.
Okay. In what ways?
Well, I don't know if you've noticed, but I am a white person.
What?
I know I did it so well.
Who? Why
I
didn't anybody
know.
tell me?
No, part of the tension in the book for me was about Just's best friend. What's his name?
Manny.
Manny. So
Hmm.
Manny was came from a family that had a little bit more money. He came
Hmm.
from a
A
wealthier,
lot more money.
okay, a lot more money. I'm trying to be kind.
And Manny, a black kid.
Manny also a black kid, but he lived in a better, I'm doing that with quotes for people
Hmm.
who are hearing better neighborhood, because we do
Hmm.
have this tendency to say bad neighborhoods, good neighborhoods, whatever.
Yeah, and we tend to group any neighborhood that's majority or all black or of color.
Bad
We
neighborhood.
tend to call those bad neighborhoods, whether they are or not. But anyway, go
Exactly.
ahead. I'm sorry.
But in my reading of it, I'm imagining an upper middle class, mostly white neighborhood
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
he's raised in, and
Yep.
also going to a school that's similar.
Hmm.
And so most of his friends are white kids that he hangs out with, and these are friends of his. And Just starts hanging out with them too, although he doesn't feel as comfortable because he's not from that neighborhood.
Hmm.
But Manny's been hanging out with his kids' whole life.
Yeah.
So as I'm reading these passages, I'm thinking about my own upbringing and my own middle class white neighborhood where we did have some children of color, not very
Hmm.
many.
Hmm.
And I know that me, my brothers, the people that I hung out with, I know we must have said some stupid shit. I can't recall exactly what it was,
Hmm.
but we were not educated.
Yeah.
We swim in so much bias. I do remember
Hmm.
my best friend, or one of my best friends. She was a little bit
Hmm.
younger than me. I think I brought her up on the podcast before.
Yeah.
Her older brother lived in our neighborhood. Was a really good friend of my brother's. Stephanie was a really good friend of mine. I do remember my brother going toe to toe with my grandfather because he said something racist,
Hmm.
and my brother took him down. I remember us playing Barbies and saying, "Oh, one day there'll be so much interracial marriage, color won't matter, skin
Hmm.
won't matter." We were just so, well, naive for one thing,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
also like just we valued our friendship and
Yeah.
we didn't understand what the big deal was.
Hmm.
We
Hmm.
were children.
Yeah.
And it's so sad to me. It was so sad to me to read the hurtful words of the friends. Like when Just got accepted to college and
To
the
Yale
to Yale, yeah,
specifically.
to Yale, and the other friend, I can't remember his name,
Jared.
Jared. I,
Yeah.
I love the way you
What
remember them all.
white
And
kid, by the way.
white kid Jared
Very
says
and from a very wealthy home. Let's put that out
says
there.
says something along the lines of, "Oh, you took my place
Hmm.
because you're the token
Yeah.
DEI black kid."
Yeah.
Just assuming that Just's credentials to be there weren't as good as his own, which they were.
Right. Right.
That shit hurt to read. It was uncomfortable.
Hmm.
It was uncomfortable because we have people today in our politics saying that they don't want to be on an airplane with a black pilot because
Hmm.
they're not sure that person is qualified.
Yeah.
And that fucking
Stupid
pisses,
shit.
yeah, I think what was so hard about this book is it is a reflection of childhood. It is a reflection of white suburbia USA, but
Hmm.
it's also such a reflection of what is going on right now in our
Hmm.
political landscape. And it
Hmm.
fucking hurts. It's like, have we grown at all?
Yeah.
Have we?
In some ways, yes. As there's a quote in the book where they're talking about, well, oh, haven't things gotten any better? And it says, and I don't have the specific page numbers because, like Jennifer said at the beginning, I did it on audiobook. There's the quote that says, yeah, there are no more quote unquote colored water fountains, and it's supposed to be illegal to discriminate. But if I can be forced to sit on the concrete in too tight cuffs when I've done nothing wrong, it's clear there's an issue, that things aren't as equal as folks say they are.
They're not. They're not
They're
equal.
not even close. It was in that section of the book, that chapter where they're talking about that Justice got into Yale early admission, and Jared's like, what if you took a spot that I was supposed to have, blah blah, all that bullshit. That chapter, specifically that part of that chapter, in many ways was a chapter that I think should be required reading for every single person in the United States. Because the way that SJ, Sarah Jane, basically boiled it down and put Jared to shame was classic textbook of what it means to, like, what equity actually means, and what it means to take into consideration that a black kid from a economically and socially depressed school system with books that are 15, 20, 30 years out of date, yeah, that kid deserves some equity, because guess what? The whole pull yourself up by your bootstraps thing is bullshit if you can't afford boots. And it's written so much better than I just said it. And I believe that was chapter 7. So people, if you have the book, crack open chapter 7 and read that chapter, because that was really good. And I am not doing great service to Nic Stone's amazing writing because I
Oh,
don't have it in front of me, but it was so, I mean, that takedown was classic. And if I could just sit and memorize it and have it like at the ready for people, I totally would.
what I loved about her, SJ, is it SJ?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Was the fact that she was on the debate team. So she
Mm-hmm.
was able to actually, like, I get into these conversations with people and I want to talk equity, and I'm not very good at the conversation yet. I remember somebody talking about, oh, what's the big deal? It's equal in workplace now. And I tried to like paint a picture of the two standing at the fence and
Oh
one
yeah.
being shorter and one needing a stool. Like, she could debate, like, she knew her
Mm-hmm.
shit. She
Yep.
talked it out. I do think that that is interesting and required reading. I want to
Mm-hmm.
talk about the age group for this book. It says this book is suitable for high school students 9 to 12th grade.
Mm-hmm.
They recommend that it's taught to freshmen or sophomores,
Mm-hmm.
but it's also listed as something that I didn't even know that they did this as HL 720, which means it's a fourth or fifth grade reading level.
Interesting.
Very interesting. And the reason that they like it to be taught at the high school level, not the junior high level, where it's fourth or fifth grade, actually, that's lower
That's
than
elementary school.
elementary school, is because of the racial injustice and the police brutality. They
Mm.
don't want those concepts at a lower grade level.
Mm-hmm.
But what they also found is that because this book, it's funny how I just got onto some weird website about teaching and teaching schools, because this book is only 200-ish pages
Mm-hmm.
and it's written at the fourth and fifth grade level, it didn't lose the attention of the class like some books do.
Yeah.
Some high school books that are 400, 500 pages, it's just too much
Yeah.
for the kids to wrap their head about. But this one, because of its short, impactful, those points like the debate, the
Mm-hmm.
classes were able to pick up those same debates inside the classroom in high school,
Nice.
which is interesting, isn't it?
Nice. I love that. And there's kids of color experiencing this shit all day, every day, all day, every day. So, yeah, teach it in fourth and fifth grade. Why
Well,
not?
they said teaching it at higher levels, they recommended.
Well, yeah, but also fourth and fifth grade. Teach it there.
You're a
You,
proponent of that, even with
absolutely. Because
okay.
kids are going through this right now at fourth and fifth grade levels.
But can they have the discussion around racial justice in fourth and fifth grade?
Why not? Give the,
I don't know.
you know,
I'm trying to think of
stretch a kid, stretch a kid.
I'm trying to think of how their maturity is at that grade level.
Give kids a stretch, right? Like give them something to aspire to. Go, you know what? I think we all can handle this book. We're going to talk about it. We'll read a section. and we'll talk about it. And we'll talk about it as a group. Stretch kids a little. Expect a little bit more from fourth and fifth grade kids. I mean, honestly, I mean, do I have kids? No. Have I been in fourth and fifth grade before? Yeah.
Do
Was
you
I
remember it? Because I don't.
I mean, vaguely, what I do remember is that I wasn't reading little kid books. All of the little kid books that everybody of our generation has read, I probably maybe read 10% of them because I was reading the books that were in my house. There were grown-ups in my house. So I read,
I see you feel strongly about
I
this.
mean, I really do. Because then if you're like, okay, Susie Q or Johnny or whoever okay, we'll read, or if you're just doing it at home,
All
all
right,
right,
here.
y'all
All
read
right.
the book together and then talk about it like per chapter or whatever.
All right. Here's a tough question.
Okay.
Because in the reading, I somehow got into this website about was this book appropriate for schools?
Okay.
There was a lot of debate. Some people said yes, some people said no. They
Mm-hmm.
definitely disagreed with you and said it should be taught at a higher level. But an interesting, it's
Mm-hmm.
okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
I'm not a teacher, so I don't know. But an interesting thing that I read, and I wasn't going to bring this up, but I think it's an interesting conversation. One of the people who is writing in this article said that this book doesn't work and isn't appropriate if the classroom is mostly white students, that it only works if there are Black and brown children in the room as well. What say you?
I think it can work in a mostly white school setting. In fact, I think it may even be a little more powerful in a mostly white school setting if if the professor who is leading the discussion is skilled at facilitating those discussions with a mixed, though slightly majority leaning crowd. And if that professor or teacher does not have that ability and realizes, hey, I have a shortcoming here, then bring somebody into the room who can facilitate that discussion. Then that's a learning point for not just for the students, but also for the teacher.
You know why this teacher said it didn't work?
Because she didn't know what the fuck she was doing.
No, I mean, maybe that's
I'm
really
sorry.
why,
That was
but
that
why
was
this
really bitter
teaching,
of me.
why that no, I think this speaks to the whole book.
Yeah.
This is really important.
Okay.
She said that she didn't feel like it worked in a group full of predominantly white children because they felt too much guilt when reading the book.
Okay, girl, if there was a way that we could just thumbnail my face just then, I'm so
I
sick
think
of
it's
that
such an
shit.
interesting leap to guilt. Okay, sure, maybe you feel some guilt or whatever. This is not the purpose of a conversation. The conversation is to discuss concepts.
And here's what I'm gonna bring up because we need to remember this is that when people respond with, oh, but that makes me feel guilt and it makes me feel bad, you centering yourself, bitch. It ain't about you. Okay? Learn the lesson. Listen to what people are trying to tell you and learn from it.
That's a really good point. Teacher centering themselves.
Yeah, or just
Instead
anybody
of
who's in
the
the majority centering themselves. Like
instead
the
of this,
whole, oh,
but
but I
she
feel
could
guilty.
but she could have even centered the children and their need to learn this material
Exactly. But no, but what she's doing,
was
what she's,
centering their guilt.
yeah, exactly.
And
And
actually, she doesn't know if those children are feeling guilt or not.
no.
That's something she's projecting onto
Mm-hmm.
those children.
And if you're reading a book like this and a white student says, "Well, I feel guilty about this," that is a learning opportunity to have a conversation and to really dig deep and learn a little bit more.
Yeah.
That is a learning opportunity. And I'm so sick of teachers and school boards who are quick to ban some shit. Okay, why don't you rethink the reason why you became a teacher, and then also consider whether or not you're any good at your job, because possibly you aren't and you need to just fucking quit and make room for somebody who's a better teacher and will actually use the point of quote unquote guilt to have a conversation with the students and maybe let them grow from that conversation. How about that?
And those feelings of guilt, whether they're guilt or not, are exactly what we were talking about when we first opened this conversation today. It isn't about feeling guilt, it's about feeling uncomfortable
Mm-hmm.
and being okay with uncomfortable. And
Yep.
I don't think as a society we've really been taught, number one, to feel our feelings, but number two, to sit in our uncomfortability. We almost do anything and everything to get out of that.
Mm-hmm.
We turn on the TV, we reach for our cell phone, we have a
we
drink.
we rely on some stupid excuse. I just don't know. I mean, I'm not, so I don't know. Mm-mm. Yeah, yeah, mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Oh, I heard that loud and clear.
Mm-mm. Yes, we aren't working with that anymore. We're not
No,
accepting that anymore. You can say that till your heart's content, but guess what? I don't accept it. I don't accept it.
good.
I don't accept it
Okay,
anymore.
so that is a change that I see in you from when we began maybe the podcast, but maybe even more specifically our project 2025, which was read these banned books.
Mm-hmm.
I don't accept that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Look at that level of self-assuredness and self-esteem that is just radiating off of Raquel.
Well, thank you.
I
Thank you.
mean, look
Yeah.
at it. I don't know that when we started this project that was there in the same way. It was there, but not as
But it was,
glorious.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
don't accept that is such a clear statement and such a boundary.
yeah. I think we're segueing into the second part of this conversation, that reading these books, reading all of these banned books, the collective effect of this, the cumulative effect of reading these books is that I show up different. There's shit now that I like I just said, I don't accept that anymore. I don't accept it. And in some ways, yeah, that's been a little difficult because I see people around me in with through a different lens, through a clearer lens.
Would you call that uncomfortable?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But am I going to die? No. Am I going to make some changes? Well, yeah, absolutely. Have I tried to have the conversations with certain friends, trying to have the, for me, courageous conversation of, hey, that's not cool to say X, Y, and Z to me. We've been friends long enough that you can't use that as an excuse. You can't say, oh, I don't know anymore, or I don't know black people, or I don't know whatever. Yeah, bitch, you do. If anything, you know me. And am I, the poster child for all black people? No, but I'm a start. And I do have these conversations now, and I do talk about this stuff. You don't get to just be like, oh, I don't know. You don't get to plead ignorance anymore. Or after I try to have the conversation, if you choose to continue to rely on that veil of ignorance, okay, A, please disavow yourself of the notion that I believe it, because I don't. I don't believe it. I don't believe you're ignorant. I don't believe it. B, also know that our friendship has now changed, and it is, I am backing up. Yeah, we're still friends. I still care for you, but some shine has come off of that. And we're not at, that the friendship is not at the level that it used to be anymore, because I now know, you're not my person. You're not really my ally. You just happen to be somebody who isn't going to necessarily call the cops on a black person. That is a very low bar.
That is not
So
good enough.
there you go.
Mm.
And to be perfectly honest, there are a number of friendships that specifically since we started the banned book series that I'm like, yeah, that friendship is down a few pegs. Still friends, still care for this person, but it's not up here anymore.
What
It's
do
it's
you
gone down a few levels.
what do you think specifically it is about reading the banned books that leads to that? Because I am also going through a thought process about my friendships. I don't actually have very many friends. I never have. I
Mm-hmm.
have a few close ones. Yeah, honestly, Raquel, you're my best friend.
Oh,
You and Tiffany, you guys are my
yeah,
best friends.
yeah.
And
You're my best friend.
and I mean, maybe it's just because we sit down and have real conversations every week. So we've grown
Mm-hmm.
close. I look at most of the people that I would call friends as they're really just acquaintances.
Mm-hmm.
They're not really friends. But
Mm-hmm.
okay, back to the question. What do you think in reading these series of books? Because most of these that we read, if not all, were young adult readers this year.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There's a phrase, and I'm gonna bastardize it, but there's a phrase about a book can be a mirror or a window.
Mm,
So much of what, yes, everything that we've read, yes, has been a window because it allows me to see into somebody else's world.
mm-hmm.
They've also been a mirror because they hold up for me what I see in me. Like, oh shit. In the books where I actually see myself or a version of myself, as in this book, Dear Martin, it's like, oh, let me let me rethink some shit because I'm doing some of the things that I'm saying, oh man, that poor kid, he needs to do something different. Like Manny,
Yeah.
in many ways. Like
Yep.
I identify so much with both Manny and Justice
Same.
in so many ways. With Manny specifically, black kid, wealthy parents, lives in a predominantly white neighborhood, goes to a predominantly white, wealthy school. Most of his friends are white. Hello, that's basically me, except I'm not a guy. And my parents, although in my very early life, there was some wealth, toward high school, there was basically none. But I was that kid who was the one or maybe one of two black kids in pretty much every class my entire life. 99% of my friends were white, and that's pretty much the case still today. And Manny put up with shit that he was like, mm. And he would make excuses like, "Oh, but that's my friend.
Yeah.
My friend doesn't mean anything by it. They're just, whatever." But deep down, man, he was like, "Fuck, that hurt. Ow, 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 that hurt." And he didn't always allow himself to acknowledge that hurt and feel it, but it was there. And
Yeah.
toward the end of the book, that's when he was like, "Oh shit. This has got to stop." And he was like, "What is going on? I can't do this anymore." And yes, I have had some version of that awakening many times over my life, and I probably will continue to have awakenings of that sort throughout my life. I mean, I'm just sure of it. It's part of growth, and I don't plan on stopping this growth. But so I felt what Manny was talking about. And in reading that and in seeing that through a, a person's eyes that are slightly different from mine, it made me sit and think about my own relationships and my own friendships. And I was like, yeah, there was some bullshit here. And yeah, no, not gonna. Mm-mm, no. And I started trying to have with this particular friend, started trying to have these courageous conversations just like little by little, like, come on, that's not really, come on, you know me. So come on, you can't fall on that excuse, the I don't know thing anymore. Come on, you can't, well, but, and literally, so I've had a version of that conversation multiple times. And now I'm at the point where I'm like, hmm, yeah, no, I'm pulling back a bit now. I mean, I'm not leaving the friendship. I still consider the person a friend, but is this person a bestie? No, not anymore.
It
Not
is kind.
anymore. Because this person won't even first listen to what I'm saying, and B, just take a little self-reflection and think about this. Just think about it all. Just a little bit. Just step outside, let go of your excuses, let go of your even self-imposed stereotypes because there are those. And I'm like, just let go of those for 1 minute and think about it. But that person isn't even doing that. And I'm like, okay, that person won't do that being quote unquote besties with me. So how the fuck is that person going to do it for black people or people of color in general? So I'm like, yeah, I'm just
They're
gonna.
not.
Yeah, exactly,
That's
exactly.
interesting because I think I love the way you just described that because I think that is exactly what Nic Stone was saying on an interview that she did. I know you also saw it because you put it on Facebook today.
Yeah.
She said basically it is the white person's inability to even stop and look at it, to
Hmm.
even stop that we're actually incapable in some ways,
Hmm.
or not incapable, unwilling,
Unwilling, absolutely
unwilling.
unwilling.
Yeah.
And
And
that is, and this is something I need people to understand. Literally, I need everyone to understand this, regardless of what color you are, regardless of what your friend group looks like, regardless of whether you even work with or know people who are different from you. That is a hurtful fucking thing for somebody who professes to be your friend and love you, or to look you in your face and say, I respect you. No, you don't, because you're lying to me, because you won't even take 30 seconds first to listen to what the fuck I'm saying, and second, to just take a couple of minutes and just self fucking reflect. If you are not willing to do that for me or whoever else in your life, in whatever capacity, you are willfully holding on to ignorance and prejudice and hatred and stupidity. You are willfully deciding to be hurtful to the people that you profess to care about.
can't say much to that. I can't. You said that the book is either a window or a reflection. It was also both for me. It's a
Mm-hmm.
window, and I'm not black. I'm not a man. I can't imagine the pressure it is to be a black man in this country.
Yeah.
And a black woman as well, but different
Mm-hmm.
pressure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But also, it is a mirror. I grew up in that neighborhood and I still have biases that hit me, that hit
Mm-hmm.
me out of the blue sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
In the airport, a black man walks by, I grab my purse a little tighter, and then I
Mm-hmm.
ask myself, what am I doing that for?
Yeah.
Why am I doing that? I
Yeah.
I feel myself doing those things. And I guess feeling myself doing those things is a good step, but it's not the final step.
Right.
There's so much more to unpack.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And honestly, I mean, again, identifying with Manny, the whole like, what is mine and what has been foisted upon me. I work in a very wealthy part of Atlanta. I also live in a fairly upper middle class area, but the area around my office, very, very wealthy area. And I'll catch myself and okay, fine. I'm gonna tell a story on myself right now. And yeah, it's embarrassing, but okay, I'm proving a point that first of all, it's the water we swim in.
It
We
is.
we all have something to learn and we all have something to overcome.
It is.
But I literally sometimes like there's this one neighborhood and I kind of cut through it to miss some of the traffic. And quite often I'll see a black person walking, and not all the time, once in a while. And I catch myself going, there's black people living in this neighborhood? And then I go, damn it, Raquel.
I know, but you caught yourself.
Yeah.
Just like I caught myself clutching my purse a little bit tighter.
Hmm.
We are catching ourselves.
Yeah.
And
And that's
and
that's
that's
part of
not
our growth.
and that's not enough. That's
It's
not enough. It's
That's
not.
true. That's true.
But the New York Times had this book as a bestseller.
Hmm.
They said it was raw, captivating, and undeniably real. The undeniably real is the part that we are both maybe trying to express and feeling. And I think both of us really identifying with Manny.
Hmm.
Like I saw those dynamics play out in my neighborhood.
Yeah.
I did because we were mostly a bunch of white kids and
Hmm.
some black and brown kids sprinkled
Yeah.
in. I know that things were said and done and jokes were made, and people probably even once in a while said the N-word back then.
Probably.
I don't think very often. I think it was still not, and I'm certainly my parents wouldn't have let me say that word.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I just know that we were all swimming in this sea that was not equitable, that
Hmm.
was not always kind,
Hmm.
that was perhaps hurtful, not intentionally,
Hmm.
but not also not seeking not seeking not to be.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Not putting the work in.
yeah, I don't think people did the work back then, do you?
I think some people did. I don't think
Did they?
people talked about it in the same way that we talk about it now. Because think about it, even in going back to the book, even in Martin Luther King Jr.'s writings, he talks about it. Like he
True.
talks about, and again, people, I didn't look up the quote, so I'm going to bastardize it. He talks about a liberal white person being just as dangerous
Perhaps more so.
as like as a Klansman,
Yeah.
right?
That's the interesting thing. That's the mirror for me
Hmm.
is the liberal white person that wants to be good but does all kinds of stupid shit.
Hmm. Hmm. The self-reflection isn't there. The going beyond the performative isn't there. And I think that's part of it for me too, is that I see so much performative shit.
Because we
Like,
want to look good on Instagram.
yeah, like,
Because
oh, I'm good now because I have one black friend. Bitch,
we want our
listen to your
friends
black friend.
we want our friends to think we're a good person. We
Hmm.
want the world to see us as good. We still want to be the good girl.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
see that in myself. I'll be honest. I see that and I've been questioning myself like why do would a good girl throw themselves between someone and ice? I want to be the person that would throw themselves in between a person and ice.
Hmm. Hmm.
I don't know that a good girl would do that. A good girl might wave her flag
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
if it wasn't too inconvenient.
Exactly. Yeah. If it didn't hurt her wrist too much, ow, I'm gonna
No,
get
I
carpal
mean,
tunnel.
and we talked about this on the last episode about there's so much and so many different angles coming at us in this life. Where should we shop? Should we be boycotting Thanksgiving? Should we be boycotting Christmas? What do we do to be a good
Yeah,
person?
it's a lot. It's a lot. And I think everybody has to make that decision for themselves, but I think it also requires some work.
It does.
The work has got to be there. I
Well,
mean,
I will say this, that I think is part of an unexpected side effect of reading all these books
mhm.
is some of the work is done. Not complete, but eyes are it's a
Eyes are
window.
opened. Yep,
The
yep.
door is open.
It's the veil has been lifted.
Yes.
I have to say too, because I kind of alluded to it a little bit, but I also identify with justice. That the whole thing of you come from a certain neighborhood or certain way of life, whatever, and you have this opportunity, you go to this school, you see your life going in a different trajectory than maybe it could have, than it did for maybe certain people in your family or in your neighborhood or whatever, and you're like, oh shit, I'm caught in the middle now. You
Yeah.
know, like the quote that you alluded to of having people on top trying to push you down so you can't get any higher, but then people from your old life trying to pull you back so you don't get any higher. So you're like, I'm getting it from both ends,
Yeah.
you know? And so, yeah, that's not a good feeling either, but you have,
I think one of the
it's
most
part of
compelling
growth.
I think one of the most compelling parts in the book around that was after Justice goes to see his friend
Oh, when he goes
in
to see
jail,
Quan
when
in
he goes to see
juvie.
Quan. Yeah.
Mhm.
And Quan tells him, just join this gang. Join the
Yeah.
gang. You'll be protected. You'll be safe.
Yep.
And so Justice, sits on it for a while. He doesn't do anything, but then he decides to go visit the gang to see what that's all about. And he can see how comfortable that could be,
Hmm.
like how that could be in existence, but it's
Yeah.
actually not an existence that's really available to him anymore.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, on page 151, I will read it because Nic Stone said in a two of her interviews that I heard where she said, "You want to know what this book is about? It's on page 151.
I think I know exactly what you're going to read.
You can't change how other people think and act, but you're in full control of you. When it comes down to it, the only question that matters is this: if nothing in the world ever changes, what type of man are you going to be?"
Hmm. Yep.
I mean, isn't that the truth for all of us? And I guess
Absolutely.
that's the deciding of, like, what do we do with Thanksgiving? What do we do with the shopping? What do we do with the protesting? It's
Hmm.
what kind of person do I want to be? Not to be a good girl,
Hmm.
not to
Right.
make other people happy.
Right. Because there's more to it than that. There's far more to it than that. It's who do I want to be when I close my eyes at night? Am I somebody that I am proud of?
Well, let me ask you this. As you're more and more becoming that person, because that's obvious today and I feel like me too.
Oh, absolutely.
Do you feel it's inevitable that these friendships that we had change? Don't see a whole lot of them growing. They're
I think it is inevitable because in any relationship where there's two people and one is changing and the other one isn't, that's going to change the friendship, right?
Yeah, of
I mean,
course.
I mean, you hear about that in marriages and why people get divorced. They're like, "Well, I was changing and growing and my partner wasn't." And the partner's like, "Oh, but you left me." And they're like, "You could have come, right? Like you could have changed it. You
I
could decide
tried to bring you
you
with
right,
me.
like you could have decided to grow too, but you decided to stay where you were. You decided to just stay,
Well,
rooted I don't think is the right word. I think the
isn't
word.
that what Justice is saying about his neighborhood, about the
Mhm.
gang?
Mhm. Mhm. And I
Like,
think and I think in some ways I think he's also saying it about his mom.
well, he is.
Mhm.
That is the okay. That we could have a whole discussion on that. We don't have time to,
Yeah.
but That is his mom giving her all and her everything to give Justice a better life.
Right.
Part of his better life is in some ways she no longer fits.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that is the crux of motherhood in some
Mm-hmm.
ways.
Ooh, and that and to go back to identifying with justice, having that conversation and knowing the hurt that your parent is feeling in that moment, whoo wee, that's a lot. Damn, that is a hurtful. I mean, that gets you right in the pit of your stomach, but you get to a point like Justice does in the book. You get to a point where you're like, I can't stop growing to make you feel better. You will have to catch up or you won't, but I have to continue growing. And I thought that was a beautifully told part of the story and beautifully written because that's not easy for grown folk to do,
No,
let alone a 17, 18-year-old who's about to leave for college. And I have to say too that I think that must have been hard for Nic Stone to write because her kids were still really little when she wrote this book.
yes.
Good on you, Nic Stone. I'm sure that had to be heart-wrenching as hell to write.
And what a beautiful book for her to write for her children.
Right? I would love to know. I mean, granted, it's none of my business, but I would love to know in however much time what her son's reactions are to the book. I would love to know that.
They would just have to feel the love, the fear. On page 144, they talk about BMC, Black Man's Curse.
Yep.
If that doesn't hit a mama right in the chest, I don't know what does. All moms have those fears anyway, but
Mm,
that is just like escalated to the
mm,
chances of your kids not having something happen like that.
mm-hmm. I'm not a mom. I don't have kids, but I have a brother, and I worry for my brother all the time. All the time. I worry for everyone that I love all the time. I worry for my brother. He is a black man living in this world. My brother is the king of dad jokes, right? Always has been. From the time that we were itty bitty, my brother has always told dad jokes. Sometimes his sense of humor is a little bit off. Chris, I love you, but sometimes not. And he put this long ass diatribe, which turns out it was a joke, but he didn't say that till the very end, right? It's this big, and I'm reading this like, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck, my brother's gonna, oh god, and then at the end he goes, ha ha, it's a joke, ha ha. And can I just tell you, it took every ounce of my being not to get in the family group chat and go, that is the dumbest thing. Do you not know how much fear you just put in my heart? But I didn't. I didn't.
Right.
I didn't say anything.
But a
I'm
mama's
just gonna let
goal
that go.
or a sister's goal or someone who loves someone's goal is not that that person lived their life in fear, right?
Well, yeah, that's true.
And yet we have this thing, BMC, Black Man's Curse. That's
Yeah,
a real thing.
it is
I'm
very
not,
real.
I can see that clearly. That's a
Yeah,
real thing.
yeah,
So you love the book.
I really did. I think this book is, and I think this was such a great book to end this year's series
It was
on.
a good one.
And Nic Stone is not just talented, okay? Because I mean, anybody can write a good book, right? Well, not anybody, but a
I don't
lot of,
know about I
well,
don't
not
know about
anybody,
that. I
not
don't know
anybody.
about
A
that.
lot of people can write a good book,
People can write
but
books. I don't know about them
okay,
being good books.
okay,
Anybody can write
but
a book,
right,
maybe.
but to write a book that is good, that is well written, that is compelling, that keeps your attention, that then keeps you thinking about it for days and weeks and however much time later. All that in a book, in one book. That is what, 200 pages?
Yeah, it's not a very long book.
My God.
Thank God.
So yes, Nic Stone is a she is a fucking genius. I am in awe of this woman's talent. I don't know another way to say it. What about you?
I loved it. I thought it was a great book. I thought it was a very easy read, but now that I
Mhm.
know that it was fourth or fifth grade reading level, hopefully it was easy for me. I think it's interesting that they're banning it in some schools, teaching it in other schools, debating who it should be taught to. The conversation in the book with their very own teacher having those conversations with students.
Yes.
That's some of the
Yes.
best part of the book, the debate style of it.
Mm-hmm.
The letters to Martin Luther King only made me want to know more about
Mm-hmm.
Martin Luther King. I am afraid that no, I'm not afraid. I truly I don't know anything about Martin Luther King other than we have a holiday that celebrates him.
Mm.
We have all this stuff in our culture where we say he was this amazing man, praise him for being a peacekeeper, but the truth of his life is that we killed him
Mm-hmm.
and that
And there was a huge section of the population during his life and during his career when he was most active who did not like him.
he was supposedly the most despised man in America
Mm-hmm.
during his
Mm-hmm.
career. And yet
Mm-hmm.
we now honor him. So the way we treated him in life versus the way we honor him now, and then the way we also take his words and use them in ways that were not intended.
Exactly.
I would like to learn more
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like all I've learned is what our school system taught us, which wasn't enough.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It
Yeah.
sparked more curiosity in me.
Yeah.
And then not to bring up a totally other topic, but moving on real quick, we got about two
Sure.
minutes. Next year, we have a whole different series of books, more
Mm-hmm.
focused on
Yep.
feminist literature. We do
Mm-hmm.
have one person from our high school who may come on an episode to discuss the book with us. I'm thinking
Awesome.
February's book. I'm
Awesome.
gonna I'm gonna reach out to him later today to see if he really wants to do it. But I
Cool.
also want to put that out there for any of our listeners. If you'd like to read a book with us, just email us at madnesscafepodcast@gmail.com
Mm-hmm.
and I will send you the list of books, what month
Yep.
we're going to talk about it, what date we're going to talk about it. We'll get you on the pod to
Yeah.
talk about it with us.
Yeah. I think that would be awesome. It really would.
But feminist literature more than young adult literature next year.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I was kind of being pissy about the fact that we read all this young adult, but I'm really glad we did. I'm really, really glad we
Yeah.
did.
Yeah. Yeah. And honestly, I think it just goes to show that, and I'm saying this to myself as much as to anybody else who's listening, don't poo-poo young adult literature. Just because it's written for a certain age group or grade level, that doesn't mean it's not a good book. And that doesn't
No,
mean it's not gonna like hit you right in the feels and in the heart and in the brain.
no, I'm glad we read all of them. And this was an excellent book to end it on.
And to Nic Stone, thank you for writing this book. I want to read more of her work now.
Oh, I until the book was over, I thought Nick Stone was a man. And then
Okay, I'd laugh, but I did too. Until I went and looked her up and I was like, oh, she's a woman.
yeah.
And this is another thing I didn't know. Lord have mercy. Dear Martin is book one of a three-part series. There's Dear Justice, which is the second book, and that's about Quan, who we brought up, the friend who's in
Oh God, I
the
gotta read them
juvie,
now.
who is writing letters to Justice, much in the same way that Justice was writing letters to Martin Luther King Jr. And then book three, which I really want to read, is about Jared
Oh,
and his growth and him writing letters to Manny.
Manny. Yep. And I will say that part of the book pleased me
Yeah.
because I think it was, as the New York Times said,
Mm-hmm.
undeniably real, but we did see some growth in that character.
Mm-hmm.
Sad that it
Mm-hmm.
took the death of one's best friend to do that, but
Right.
also growth.
I think we saw growth in all of the characters.
Well, yes, but specifically this little racist
It's
young white man who was given
Pothing. Pothing.
his friends a lot of grief. I mean, he
Yep.
was a kid swimming in
Yep.
the society, not
Yep.
making excuses for him.
But
It's
but
really
thankfully he learned.
it's really good to see by the end of the book he was like, "Oh, I fucked up." So
I
read the book,
just
people. Oh, now I want to read the other two.
Yeah, I just want to throw another point out there before we wrap up because I know we're getting to the end. The fact that there were so many strong black male role models for justice. Manny's dad, his high school professor, or
Loved him.
yeah, yeah. I thought that was fantastic. They were two very different men, very
They
different
were.
characters. It wasn't just the black male father figure. Here's one. No, no, no. These were two very different characters, two very different men,
As men are.
as men are. And I think Justice took very different, but necessary lessons from both of those relationships. And I thought that was so key to show that just because someone is raised by a single parent, it does not mean that they don't have influential role models of the opposite sex in their life. I just want to say thank you, Nic Stone. Thank you. Thank you for doing that. Thank you very much. Thank you for
There was a
putting that in
lot.
there.
There was a lot in this little book.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's a good book.
It's so good. So good.
Bye, Raquel.
Bye, Jennifer. Thanks for listening to today's episode. If you like this episode, please share it with a friend.
Or you could leave us a comment and a 5-star review, or email us at madnesscafepodcast@gmail.com.
Thanks, everybody.